President Ramaphosa appears at the state capture inquiry tomorrow, COPE leader Mosiuoa Lekota has said that he will lead a picket at the commission. Lekota says that COPE wants the entire ANC to step aside. He joins us now. Mr. Lekota, very good afternoon. I hope it's a happy Freedom Day for you. Just give us some context into your picketing plan for tomorrow.
Well, we are planning to be in Bloemfontein at about 9. Our idea is that we would like to say that throughout the period of the presidency of Jacob Zuma, former President Jacob Zuma, President Ramaphosa was both deputy president as well as head of government business. And we do think that he must also accept responsibility for everything that was going on at that time. And so he must take responsibility for all the decisions that were taken at the time.
Now, is an admission sufficient, or do you expect further action if he is to accept responsibility?
Well, in terms of the ANC's own decisions, he must step aside with those who are faced with corruption charges and so on.
Stepping aside is generally perceived to be an internal move by the ANC. Do you see this happening?
Well, in our view, he is supposed to accept a responsibility because he was part of that decision, and maybe he must lead the leadership of the ANC in responding to that to that resolution.
Mr. Lekota, a couple other things we'd obviously like to talk about today is Freedom Day. What are some of the freedoms you think we've come to enjoy in the last 27 years? And obviously, I presume there are many shortcomings too.
Well, I had occasion to speak to our comrades in Orange Farm today on this issue. And we take the position that if one looks at the promises that were made to the people of South Africa in the Freedom Charter, which is the official document of the Congress of the People, as well as that of the African National Congress, very little, in fact, almost all the promises made in the Freedom Charter have been reversed. And as we were saying to our people, there's hardly anything to celebrate. We ourselves left the African National Congress when it became clear that pilfering of public funds and all kinds of abuses were being accommodated at a time when President Mandela, or the ANC under President Mandela, had promised us that it would be a better life for all the people of South Africa. But the organization moved in the reverse direction. We do think that there's very, very little that can be celebrated in the records of the ANC. If you look at the promises made in the Freedom Charter and you look at what has happened, we started off with a determination, trying to provide housing for everybody, a better life for all, education for the children. But today when we look there, all of that is gone. There's no education for, the doors of learning have not been opened. Hospitals, the schools are without windows. Pit toilets, which we started off eliminating under the presidency of President Mandela and that of President Mbeki, those have now become the order of the day. Schools, children have no financing support for financing to study. It's just a disastrous situation. And it's very sad to say, but we thought that when we left the ANC, it would send the message for the ANC and the leadership of the ANC to take a second look at itself. But on the contrary, it took momentum and went ahead as if everything was right.
Well, you talk about a second look, Mr. Lekota. The president in his address today admitted that 27 years of freedom, there's been much corruption that's taken place. So that admission, do you think it is enough? Do you think that the ANC has capacity to do an about turn, so to speak?
No, that we certainly do not think so. The vast majority of the people in that leadership, I mean, this week we were looking at Pemi Majotina being charged by members of the caucus of the ANC. It shows that, and she was very nonchalant about it. From her response preliminarily, she seemed to see nothing wrong with what they are doing. And I do think that very many of the members of the ANC are shocked at what is going on. And we think that the people who've been supporting the ANC until now must really take a second look at what is happening and at what they themselves have been authorizing so far. And so at this public meeting today, I was saying to our membership and supporters that all of us, everybody, must really consider carefully whether they can authorize these people to go back to government again. Because the ANC is urging them to support them. There's no money to pay teachers. There's no money to pay police. There's no money to pay most of the public servants. And we are paying tax all the time. Where is it going to? The public state-owned enterprises, which were generating income to strengthen funding of projects of the government, have no money, have nothing, and in fact, they are now closing down one by one.
Mr. Lekota, you're absolutely right, sir. Unfortunately, we will have to cut the conversation short, but thank you kindly for speaking to us. Mosiuoa Lekota, COPE President, speaking to us this afternoon. Now, joining me in the studio to explain the significance of the President's appearance at the Commission, I'm joined by politics editor Sbu Ngalwa. Sbu, great to speak to you this afternoon. Quite a milestone in the history of this country. In fact, a day after Freedom Day, the President appearing before State Capture Commission.
I think it's perhaps one of the most, if not the most important testimony that we'll hear at State Capture, because if you track the genesis of State Capture, how it came about from the report of the then Public Protector to Professor Thuli Madonsela, if you look at that and what she had envisaged and the fact that President Zuma at that time reluctantly